Hello, welcome everyone to the next lecture of data analytics using Excel. I'm Dhruv, I will be your tutor for the day. In this lecture, we will be working with errors. This lecture is going to be very small because I will be teaching you one concept which should be enough for you to work around with almost everything. Syntax of the function is something that you have already covered as well. So we need not worry a lot about the logic. We just need to know the technique. We just need to go along and unblock our mental block for how to handle errors. The file will be attached in the description. You can use the file. It's also advised to actually go through the entire lecture in once and then perform the analysis in your Excel sheets, or you can open the Excel sheet that I'm attaching in the description. Let's just dive into it. So if you can see, okay, someone might argue that at the very beginning we haven't taken like very big shot, data sets, and now it's very small because the concept is literally very easy for us to understand, and we don't need very big data sets anyway. So from what I can understand here, there are four individuals which are named as Ram, Sham, Advait, and Prem, and they appeared in some examination, and these are the marks that they have secured. The difference that we have here is that all of them, they do not have any common base in terms of, let's say, someone is getting 50 marks, that is the second highest in all four, but also the exam is from out of 100, so we cannot compare pi to pi. So what we need to understand is what is the total percentage score. But the issue that we have with our data is that we do not have a cell here, right? And what do we do in such cases when we are not able to compute something? Let's still try to compute total percentage and see what type of errors we might be able to get in front of us. So for errors, what I have to write is how many marks was for percentage. I have to write what's the mark secured by the particular individual divided by the total marks. Again, I'm using my keyboard for all of this analysis. And once I have this figure, I will actually do Control Shift down arrow till I select the three rows below this, and I'm going to do Control D. So everything is selected. Now there are a couple of things which I can understand from here. First thing is that I have only one decimal point here. Here I have two decimal point. Here I have, I don't know, like 10 decimal points maybe. I'm just guessing. And then I have an error here, right? I have written a column for other errors also. So you can add, let's say, decimals. I will actually give you an example. You can add decimal with numbers, right? You can subtract or work around with the numbers. But sometimes it might happen that there is an error in terms of what is written in the particular cell. So let's say instead of writing 100 here, we had 100 in written in word 100. Then we'll get a hashtag value error, right? So we'll see how we can work around with the same, and I won't actually create two errors just to show you what value errors will look like. I will actually created an example in front of you. Now I'm going to add two random columns like RAM and 0.5. Now RAM is a textual value and 0.5 is a numeric value, and we cannot use both of them together, right? And that's why let's see what's going to happen with the error bar here. And I have a hashtag value error, and I'm not able to see anything here, although if I have an error already and I'm having an error over that, because if you can see I'm adding frame width divide by 0 error, I'm going to get divided by 0 error. There's one thing you need to notice. If you have one error and above that you're getting just another error, then the initial error will be displayed just like we have divided by 0 here. So the first thing that I will be doing here is to actually clean this data set a little. I've hidden my Excel bar, so that everything is very clean for you. I will actually go and I'll write 3 decimal places here. And now in this, I want you to focus directly on the formula bar. I'm going to write a formula here. Try to understand it. The formula is if. Now there are 3 options in front of you. We have used if. If is when we actually use more than one condition, just like nested if, but like a very cleaner version of that. We are going to work with if error for this example. So I will click on tab and then I have if error. And just like how the name suggests, if error, that is if I have an error in the value which is being shown here, right? Then give me, let's say I want the message error to be given to me, right? If I'm going to click on enter here, you can see I'm getting a textual value of error. Now just remember that this is very case sensitive, and it's always going to give you whatever you're writing here. So if I'm going to write, let's say A, B, C, D, E, F, I'm going to get A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So just always remember, just like how we work with our if statements. Now, if we go to value errors, we are again going to get the same thing, and we can solve this as well by using if error function. But let's say, what if you want to have an empty cell? Just like you were working with if statements in our Excel, we can actually create empty cells like this, and we can just do control shift bracket close, and then we can go control down arrow. And you can see now I do not have any value written, on all of these cells. Just makes our data set look very, very clean, right? Most of the time, these are the two types which you will be working with. Although I want you to read the comment which are being shown by Excel once you work with this. Return value if error, if expression is an error and the value of expression itself otherwise, right? So this is when we are going to use if error. Although sometimes you might incur hashtag if error. The syntax is almost going to be similar. There's nothing, major changes. You can work around with the same, and that would be your homework. Whenever in future you actually incur the let's say a hashtag NA error term in your Excel file or your workbook or wherever you're working, how to actually use if NA. For this lecture, I'm going to teach you if error. That's just going to be enough for you to understand if NA as well. And that's pretty much it for us to understand how we can work and handle errors in the first place. Thank you everyone joining. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. I would love to help.